Hello, everyone, and welcome to Court of the Rings here on twitch.tv/LotroStream, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings/live, and facebook.com/Lotro. I'm Lotro's community manager, Cordovan, and I'm just checking to make sure that we're live on all the things, and I do indeed see myself on all the channels. So how's it going, everybody? Wasn't 100% sure I was going to have a show today because I had to take the car into the shop for a thing. But I made it into the office in time, so hey, let's do this. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the latest news, answer any questions that I can of yours, and then probably mostly just bum around in Glimmerdeep a little bit. So I'm not sure actually how much news will be in this week's show, but hello everybody. I will talk about Movember and Extra Life here in just a minute. Too many slashes must be a champ thing. Yeah, so what's been going on is I Valored up a Stout Axe champion to 120 for the live stream here specifically, and I'm endeavoring to play a little bit more up-to-date content, frankly. So that's what's going on as to that particular character. But I've been enjoying it. I have not yet played a champion until now, and it's been pretty cool. Grow the beard. I agree. This will be happening soon. I guess I can actually just roll right into that. So there's two charities that we do in October and November, Extra Life and Movember. Now, the reason for the not shaving and growing the kind of bad mustache is because it's Movember, and I raise money for men's health issues, in specific testicular cancer, prostate cancer research, and direct support programs, along with mental health. In recent years in particular, there have been funds from the Movember organization to deal with suicide and mental health issues. I know in particular you can find all their where all their funding goes on their website. They're very transparent on that, but they also do some programs, say, for PTSD, things like that as well. So, a very good cause, something I've done for many years now, but that's why I am not growing the beard until December. So usually by around Christmas, I'm kind of back to my normalish looking self. But I do this every year because it's a good cause. The other one that is on its way to being wrapped up is Extra Life. I formally have technically stopped taking donations, although if you want to donate, it's fine. I'll still get you the incentives. But I have done the drawings on the Lotro side for Extra Life, and I posted the winners of that in the main Extra Life forum thread. I have not had any time to do anything other than that since, other than I guess I added another 20-some names to my database for donations and all that sort of thing. So I have done a little bit of work, but I also have to announce it yet on the DDO side, and then kind of transition to the phase where I then get everyone all their stuff, which every year is a lovely thing to do. I'm super happy to do it, but it always takes longer than I anticipate it's going to. This year I tried to be smart about it and just say, you know what, I'm not even going to promise until after this thing is over that I'm going to start distributing things. But still, people getting kind of antsy, and did you get my PM, did you get my info, I haven't heard anything back from you yet, et cetera, and I understand that kind of sucks. But in recent years, like this year, I'd have to tally the total list, but we are well over 400 individual donations between both games here for Extra Life alone, not including Movember. And so I've got it down to a pretty good science at this point in terms of the process flow, but it does take some time, and it takes generally about maybe 10 to 15 hours kind of before the distribution, and then another 5 hours or so after. And I tend to do that work after work in the evenings when I can. And frankly, we've been doing things like releasing Minas Morgul and a patch this week and a patch last week and some other things. And, I don't know, getting ready for a little sale or two and that sort of thing. So that's what's been going on here in recent days. So I am working to get the Extra Life stuff out. The winners have been announced, including like the ultimates, and I want to get this out before Thanksgiving if I can. So what I'm going to be probably doing is starting Monday night, probably Tuesday night, probably Wednesday night. I will just sort of dedicate some hours to turning that process around and start getting people their codes. So if you got a PM to me, expect, hopefully, let's just say by the end of next week, you will have hopefully received a private message from me to that PM you sent me. And it will include codes that you can redeem on your account or kind of do whatever you want to do with them for the incentives that you got. And if I haven't really heard from you about kind of what from the community loot list you want, then it'll just be like, hey, here's what you asked for and here's what's left to get you. Just let me know what you want, and then I'll do a subsequent follow-up probably after Thanksgiving. I'm assuming sometime in early December here. Certainly it will be done by mid-December, because now that I've said that, it's definitely going to happen. But that's the plan. That's the plan. And I think this is going to be the last week. I put the Extra Life info up on the screen here just because we are kind of wrapping it up for the year. But there is still time to donate. It is a tax-deductible donation, and if I'm not personally taking donations, which I am, it's fine. But there are still plenty of people on Team Standing Stone Games who are accepting donations and all that sort of thing. So I'm not that picky, to be honest, with this sort of thing. But I did have to do a cutoff date for the public drawings, and that was last Friday. And those drawings have been done, the winners announced, and I am now at the point of following through on that. So congratulations, everyone, for crushing our goal of 20,000 here. And it's been another amazing year. So I don't know what else I can really say beyond that. I could talk a little bit about what we have going on. Take a look at the release notes from this past week if you need to. We released update 25.0.2 this week. And we have a very small patch, I believe, set for Monday-ish. We might have a downtime announcement by, let's say, the end of the day today if we do. Just a couple of things to win that follow-up patch. Not much, to be honest. I can't remember what it is that's... Oh, no, I do know what's prompting us to actually do the patch, and that is that there are some instances that had to be capped at level 120 here. And by this next patch, we're planning to reopen those back up. So if all goes as planned, it'll be reopened up by, let's just say, midday Monday. And that's what's prompting the patch that we'll probably hear about a little bit later on. But we did have a patch yesterday as well, and you can just take a look at the release notes for that. I'm not going to really go into all that stuff here for the show, other than to call it out right here. The other thing I'd mention is we do have a pretty decent bonus happening here right now, going through Sunday, being shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on Monday, November 25th, 3 a.m. Eastern, so basically through Sunday, November 24th, a 25% XP boost. Just here, have more XP, so that's not a bad thing. And then the other kind of announcement that I can't provide detail on, but clearly is coming next week, is we're going to be launching our Black Friday sales next week. You can expect us to do a big blowout like we often do for Black Friday. So we'll have all that information published on most likely next Wednesday, mid-afternoonish, mid-late afternoon. It should all be fully in swing, and potentially even be released a little bit before then. And that'll run through our typical sales day of Monday. But I can't get into the details of what's going to be on sale and where and how much and all the rest. One final piece, though, I would note is this year we've been particularly cognizant with some feedback from past years where some VIP players were like, if you're going to put big things on sale, make sure I can buy them too. And so we endeavored this year to make sure that our sales are applicable to, for the most part, applicable to both VIPs and everyone else as well. So if you're doing a little bit of planning, maybe you can think about that. Right now, we got 25% off quest packs, 100% XP boost, mithril coins, max morale, and power scrolls. I'm just looking through our chat here. So, Amarniel, I recently put Lotro on a new installation and ran into the same DirectX issue that you are describing in your text chat on Twitch. So, you do have a blue-black screen of death thing when you exit the game. That is a little bit different. But I would try the same solution here, which is to go to the Microsoft website, download and run the DirectX end-user runtime installer. And that'll probably solve your issue. You'll probably then be able to select your DirectX 9, 10, potentially 11, if you have it, in Lotro. All right. What do we got over on that? Did I see correctly? Minismorgul gear that was crafting before this week's patch was adjusted in item level along with the recipe, or am I seeing ghosts? Minismorgul gear that was crafting before this week's patch was adjusted in item level. Correct. Incorrect. Are we going to change the featured instance rotation? It hasn't changed in over a year since U23. Yes. But also on top of that, we just did some of that work yesterday to change the featured instance that'll be available through next week. And then we also made a few other adjustments, and there's an announcement on the Lotro forums on that one. I've read a forum thread, James, on YouTube about the Sigil of Imlad Ithil barterers and a desire to have new items added to it. I've not heard of anything in that regard, other than to say that I've read that forum thread, and I know others have as well. Hey, Courtney, Justin, Connor, Micah. Let's see, why is there not a warning when you open a crafting component box, the items bind to account? When you open a crafting component box, why is there not a warning that the items bind to account? There probably should be. All right. No, Mech Mulong, we probably will not be adding Minismorgul to the Lotro store for Lotro points earlier than the previously stated March. We tend to want to follow through very strictly on that kind of announcement, so it'll be March when that is available. So, Hadurb, I don't know that I'm going to be able to provide a great answer to that today, but I can address it a little bit. Hadurb asks over on Twitch, what is the reasoning in the daily locks on the new 3-person instances? Drops disenchant into crafting items, so you cannot farm embers, etc. Does SSG really care if we get some extra gems or hides? No. My understanding is the... Oh, where do I have this now? I actually do want to look something up here real quick. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it right off the top of my head today, but there was a discussion just recently about this, and I'm trying to figure out where that went now. But we are... Let's see. One of the Tier 1 versions of the new instances is basically meant to be kind of a low-level farmable thing. And so we're going to be making an adjustment on the loot there. And I've discussed specifically with the team that we take a look at whether there's something we can do related to those chest locks to further kind of underscore that intention of that content. Unfortunately, I don't have anything more specific right now. Like I said, while I was talking here, I was trying to look up a conversation from yesterday on it. I can't find that immediately off the top of my head, so I don't want to try to further discuss it without reminding myself of what it is. But I can say that we have talked about that, and we'll have something to say, I think, in the relatively near future about it. Any news about when we'll see the 6-person instances in the raid on Bullroar? No, other than to say fairly soon. It won't be over, say, the holiday or anything like that. But I think we're probably looking at December for certainly some of that. And we'll have more information about the content release schedule for those instances and the raid as we get closer to them. Some of that's going to be pushed into 2020, but at least some of it you'll be seeing, I would imagine, before the end of the year. Okay. Any news on character transfers? No, other than to say that we also have been discussing on the timeline for it, the work that needs to be done in order to re-enable that and the various scope of that whole discussion. So progress is being made, but we have nothing yet to announce today regarding character transfers for Lotro. Will there be a producer's letter this year, or will it be in the new year? James Perry asks on YouTube. I am going to say could be either, but probably the new year, were I to guess. I'm pretty sure the discussion about next year's content and all that will be finalized in the relatively near future, and work will be started on a kind of producer's letter type thing. But whether that gets published, say, by the end of calendar year 2020 or perhaps, or 2019, or perhaps early 2020, that remains to be seen. So could be either, but I would say more likely to be January probably. We'll have information on when the upper tier difficulties will be available on the Minas Morgul instances soon. Okay, I think I'm actually caught up to date. So let me just kind of pop onto the game here real quick. I did just a little bit beyond where we last were on the last stream here, and I got myself into Glimmerdeep. And so I thought we would just kind of bum around here in Glimmerdeep a little bit and see what we can find. I'm basically collecting tarnished gems, and I'm... What else am I doing? There was one other reason I was in here, besides the stolen gems. Now I can't remember where that guy is. But at the very least, I'm here for stolen gems. So we'll be doing that. And I'm in Glimmerdeep here. Oh, actually, there is one other piece of news that I could mention, and that is that we have got a Lotro bonus days boost that I should mention before I get into the calendar later today. And that is that we have got a 10% Virtue XP boost. A 10% Virtue XP boost that is set to begin on November 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern and run through December 2nd, being shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on December 3rd. And that is a 10% Virtue XP boost starting on November 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern and running through December 2nd, being shut off on December 3rd at 3 a.m. Eastern. And that'll get into the calendar here today. I'll try to remember to do it as soon as I get back to my desk. But we're clear to announce that, so that's all good and scheduled. It has not yet been announced. So let's do that thing. right. Hit back to chat. Sorry, I don't have a good answer as to why the High Elves got a fancier ring than the Stout Axes. I've been kind of learning to play this character a little bit yet. I still need to figure out my rotations and everything. Like I said, I have not played a champion to this point, and I did Valar this character up to 120, so I do have a, let's be honest, a bit of a learning curve to do here yet. But I've been playing around, a handful of hours here on this character now, and was able to get in a couple hours yesterday to kind of get myself prepped for today. So I'm starting to get the hang of using this Battle Frenzy and then moving into my nice powerful ones like this Raging Blade and this Fury of Blades, which is kind of nuts. Kind of a nice one. And I've been trying to figure out which ones are my fastest ability skills and try to front load those toward my personal kind of hotbar preference, which is a little weird. A lot of people like their primaries to be 1, 2, 3. I tend to be 4, 5, 6. I don't... Yes, I know. I'm doing things wrong. But that's just the way my brain works. It's always been like that for MMOs. My primary buttons on PC games are not 1, 2, 3. It's 4, 5, and 6. And so I tend to set up my hotbar, and it's intended to, eventually at least, kind of turn into my fastest rotations in order on 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, and then control 4, 5, 6, and etc., etc. So. Did I get all the gems? Okay, yeah, I got all the gems. Okay. Cool. I'm assuming that AoE skill damage buff impacts the Raging Blade and stuff, huh? Raging Blade is rad. It even looks good. It's got it all. Really? As a matter of fact, no, I'm not seeing that I'm fighting. Someone is saying that they're seeing me fighting with a bow rather than swords, except I'm not seeing that. I've got sword and dagger, basically. So, I tend to try to avoid answering questions along the lines of, will X trait line of a class be, quote, useful in raids in the future or ever, or what, you know, however it's described, right? And not that there's anything wrong with that question per se, it's just that, you're asking really a mix of content and class balance and other things. And will it ever, hopefully, if it's not where it needs to be. I often tend to hear specific kind of sub-trait lines that are useful or too potentially overuseful, or at least very useful in X raid, and then in Y raid when that comes out, that perhaps has a different mix of things that are more effective. It's not uncommon for players to feel that, you know, their particular choice might be better suited elsewhere, right? But over time, the goal is to always try to make everything fun for everyone. So hopefully, right? When you ask me, will we ever? Sure, we will. Yeah, so exactly. 1, 2, 3 for WASD are hard to use at the same time. And I tend to have dominant, you know, these two fingers. So when especially when I'm holding shift, I usually use control for either voice chat or, you know, second tier main work, whether that be damage, direct damage, or like secondary skills, like say healing on the Runekeeper. On the Runekeeper I'm playing, I tend to have it separated out so that the one's got healing on the control and the rest is just native for the damage. Where am I on the scaffolding? I am too far. I mean, I guess I would say that as currently played, and this, you know, obviously will change, but I am currently running in largely yellow line, and I'm obviously no expert, but this character doesn't seem useless to me. Player may be useless. The character's not. Use Clobber to cut Raging. I don't really... Okay, maybe I should, but I'm not really... I don't really do that. I don't really... I'm not an animation cutter. That's just not how I roll. I mean, I'm kind of lucky to get my rotation in to begin with. So it's not so much a rotation as kind of more of a star-based pattern. Yeah, it only looks like, you know, scribbles. Well, I could say as just kind of basically starting post-Valar on a fresh character here. This level just kind of using the basic LI gear that I got to it and started bumping up slightly. I have certainly not found that I'm lacking in landscape damage here at the very least. Now, that's a very, very different thing than raids. I get that. But to your point that perhaps maybe almost yellow line is too much deeps. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter. Please let me hear more. I'm not sending you a check yet, but I will do the free trial. Yeah. So, speaking about being a terrible person and sucking at things, one of the things I'm planning to do here next weekend, there was originally some thought about maybe doing it this weekend, but next weekend, I think what I'm going to be doing is I don't really have much going on for the Thanksgiving holiday. I do have it off, and I will be taking it off because, hey, we all need a break. But I'm thinking about dedicating some time here to a live stream for Movember. And the reason I mention the thing at the start is because one of the reasons I'm really doing this stream. Oops, note to the large scratch. There we go. Is to call attention to mental health issues and bullying and abuse and things like that. So I want to carve out some time before the end of November to get that done. And I think that the actual day that's going to make the most sense for me is going to be some on Black Friday and some on that Saturday. So stay tuned for an announcement next week on that. But I think I'm going to do a special live stream sometime, not this weekend, but the holiday weekend. And that'll be my main Movember drive. I'm going to do at least several hours, 3 or 4 of Lotro, 3 or 4 of the other game, and then a couple hours of just weird retro goofiness. And that'll be part of kind of a Movember live stream package that I'm going to do over the holiday weekend. Yes. You call it lamest Thanksgiving dinner ever, Druid's Fire, but I prefer the term pathetic. I always like to try to give myself a pathetic Thanksgiving dinner. Not that I need to. There's no reason to, other than I enjoy being a dummy head. And that cracks me up. So, every year I tend to make a particularly pathetic Thanksgiving dinner. And so instead of it being like, some kind of big fancy feast, it'll be like a microwave burrito and a tab, something like that. And so that planning is well underway for this upcoming giving of thanks. It's going to be fun. And then if I want to have like a real Thanksgiving dinner, which I really typically don't anyway, but if I wanted to, like a tofurkey or something like that, I'll do that the following day, the day of Black Friday. And part of it is I started taking pictures of it and posting it up on my Twitter feed, I guess it was. And so that's part of why it's kind of... Some people comment on it as like, hey, what are you going to do for it this year? So, oh, yes, there are plans. I don't think that we are, as a general statement, done with Minas Morgul itemization tweaks, but we have done some work in regard to that here recently, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of further refine things in the future here. But we also have new content coming out that'll certainly be an opportunity to further take a look at power levels and things. So, Yeah, I should use this horn one more. That's what you're saying, because I can stun him and then I'll do more damage in that of my follow-ups. It's not a bad idea. I just haven't, like I said, I haven't fully incorporated it into my chaotic playstyle. It has always been the case. From the days of Space Invaders and earlier, that anyone looking to me for quality, skilled gameplay should probably be looking somewhere else. But I love video games, and I am living proof that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But my goal is to be a little better at this, and I'm learning on this character. I want to start playing it up and do a little better on that front. So, join me, will you? Where are you? Why am I not seeing it? Oh. Wait a second. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now for the charred spider remains. No, none of my... I don't have any voice work in Lord of the Rings Online. There's a few places you can hear my voice in the other game. But even then, it was never like a generally professional decision. It was usually just, hey, something came up and we needed an emergency bit of voice work, and this seemed like a fun thing to do. So that's really all that's about. I am not bad. I will say I am not terrible at some of these old school classic arcade games. I'm like just sort of a regular for realsies game of Galaga. I might have scored 60-some thousand yesterday, so whatever. I'm gonna say I'm okay. Yes, Tower of Frost was all mine, but again, this is for the other game. I did do voice work for one quest, but the circumstances for that was that there was a voice actors strike going on, and so we needed to do a one-off dungeon, and that's what we ended up kind of doing. Oh, here's some scaffolding. Good. Before I head down. Yep. Okay, that's all there. So even then, that was kind of a special circumstance. I have a little bit of a mouse situation going on here. My mouse is not... Something's gumming it up or something like that. Why am I not weapon swapping on a champion, not maximizing my deep's potential? Again, that's probably something I'm going to have to learn to do. I'm not generally, I don't know. Why am I not? I guess because I haven't really felt the need to. Maybe that's not a very good answer, but... Anyway, if you want to watch skilled champion gameplay, you can, may I suggest Bloodborne, or some other fine streamer on Locher Stream. But I'm learning, and hopefully this is going... I've been enjoying this character, though. Like I said, I need to... This is really only my third play session on this character. So I'm still have a lot to go. A lot of reading to do on skills and trait trees and what have you. But, alright. Oh, maybe I moved too much, huh? Oh, Andang plays the champion too? Oh, great. Well, then I've got several good examples of people who can prove how bad I am at this game. That's fine, though. Like I say, I love video games. I've never really claimed to be some kind of Twitch skills expert. I will probably best thee handily in combat for the 2600. And I might rip your spine out on MK1. I used to be able to do the full rotation on that in the arcade on a quarter. Oh, and I'll probably get farther than you in Dragon's Lair as well. Okay. Should be one last scaffolding. I probably just missed one somewhere. Let's see. Or not? Okay. So probably over on... Yep, there's one. And there should be another one near it. Alright, well, let me do the... How do I best get there? Yes, that's a great point. So a couple of fun things to point to is we had a visit this week. Actually, it happened on, Tuesday of this week. We had Chris Carter from Destructoid pay a visit to Standing Stone Games. Chris was able to sit down with Rob Ciccolini and some members of the content team. And some other fine folks as well, and wrote a couple of pretty interesting and fun little articles. Not little articles, interesting and fun articles. As a kind of non-games journalist, former non-games journalist, I thought it was fascinating to see the cool write-up that he did. I wasn't 100% sure what we were even going to talk about, and it was neat to see the end results of that. So if you want to check it out, it's over on Destructoid.com. You can find links to it pretty much anywhere. That is a Lotro social media channel. How do I get up there? Maybe up here? Maybe over here? No. Looks like I'm going to have to head up. Okay. Okay. And this should go across. Cool. I haven't really used that one much yet either. No, nothing to announce, and probably no plans to remove mortar instance loot locks. Sorry. I know that the chest lock... Actually, you know what? Let me ask this then. Just as kind of a... We have, what, about 12 minutes left of the show, and not a whole lot left to talk about that I can think of. I want to ask you, so as an alternative to chest locks, what would you like to see? If you got to write the rules, and the rules stated, but we must also protect against sort of over-farming and balance and things like that, how would you implement a gating system for these instances? Would you just kind of do the traditional MMO thing where it's not a guaranteed drop, just a percentage chance to drop, and then remove the locks altogether? What would you do? Yes, Middle Earth Maiden, we did indeed meet our extra life goal. It was amazing. Thank you to everyone for making that happen here. Oh, high-resolution wallpaper of Sauron and the Witch King. Yes, that is on the agenda as well. Oh, there is actually one other piece I could mention that I will get to in a second here, but... Yes. Putting together key art wallpaper for Minas Morgul is 100% on my to-do list before 2019 years turns into 2020 years. So expect that in the coming weeks as well. It really won't take that much time per se. I just have to actually have time to set aside to do the work. And I've not yet had that time, so. All right. Now I'm heading back out of Glimmerdeep here. No locks with a percentage chance to drop or a current favored pull system with 7 favored pulls resetting weekly. So essentially putting a daily chest lock in the form of 7 favored pulls weekly, but it would allow you to, say, not have to wait a day to do each one. Do you work on the DX11 animated water bug in the 6.4-bit client? Is this bug already known? I know that there can be a DX11 thing with certain video cards, right? On animated water, but I don't know further about that. Other than I think it's a specific driver video card thing, maybe. I mean, I know it's always kind of a frankly a little bit of a dangerous subject to even talk about over farming, because it's people are like, well, if I want to farm my head off, let me do it, you know. But there do have to be some basic kind of systems in place for game design reasons to prevent kind of over farming and that sort of thing. So I hear you, but. I think one of the things that I feel related to this issue is that the daily sort of chest lock system is fairly visible. I mean, you kind of can't escape it because you have to, you get faced with it fairly regularly. Whereas it's just not a guaranteed drop, and there's a percentage chance, tends to obscure that kind of visibility. So to some extent, you know, it's a perception issue. You end up in the same place, but it's something, you know, that we're aware of. And who knows if we'll, you know, what might come of that. But. Yeah, I think that you're right, Feckles, that it is a. Let's see, how'd you describe it very well? It's a double-sided coin of the issue of locks. If you have time to grind out an instance and get stuff, it's fine. If you don't have time, the day lock is better, as you're guaranteed the item. Right. I mean, that's the main crux of one over the other, right? I'm going back to Scarherd. I'm going to see if I can just kind of ride my way south along the road without pulling too much aggro. Well, without getting stopped by aggro, shall I say. I don't know if your question was answered. I mean, you're the only one swimming in black wolf dogs. I don't know. Oops. Ah! Why are these black wolf dogs swimming? How many do you have? What's the size of the container where all these black wolf dogs are residing? To the density of such that you can literally swim through them. Oh, because of the white, the not having more stuff for the white company quartermaster. Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of any plans to further add things to the white company quartermaster, but I can pass it along. Yeah, that tree bridge is very popular. I had a big, gigantic tree taken out of my front yard. I guess it was last week at this point now. So maybe a little over a week ago, I had literally like a 150-year-old tree taken out of my front yard. And it was sad. You know, I'm a big tree fan, so I hated to do it, but I kind of had to do it because it was getting sick and it was over a big, busy road and my house and things like that. And so I got to watch the process of this tree company crew actually come in and take off all the branches and then take it down to the stump here and all that. And it was really, really fascinating to see that happen. But it got me thinking about, you know, the tree bridge then subsequently when I saw this in the game, because I was looking, it's like, you know, so maybe back in the day, that's what they would have done with this kind of thing. Or obviously just taking advantage of what was already there. But It was that kind of tree. If you had laid it down, you could well have used it as a walk across crossing, except for the fact that it was starting to rot because, you know. But there's where I'm going. Oh, so there is one other piece I can talk about here before the end of the show, and that is early this week, we were able to get the Minas Morgul soundtrack out on YouTube, and it's a monster. There's like 4 hours of it. There's a ton of cool music that's now available to listen to for free on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/Lord of the Rings. And thanks to Darth Celtics, Bill Champagne, for all the hard work, because it is a lot of work to get all that stuff together. All I had to do was just make some video files of it and upload it. So I had the easy task. But that is available as of this week, so you can check that out if you want to. I don't yet know where the training dummy is going to end up. I too saw it on Bull Roar and is not yet available on live, but I have not yet heard what the plan is for that. So, also someone from Facebook relating to the earlier conversation. My main's loot luck sucks. I'd prefer a repeatable quest with a cooldown that gives you either a barter token or the thing, or a loot box, rather than a percentage base, because that does lead to loot luck issues, right? So. Alright. Yes, Ashigaru. I plan to get this within the next week. I'm going to try to at least turn around the first phase of all the extra life rewards in the Lotro community and get it at least announced on the DDO side. And then take care of any kind of subsequent follow-up after the Thanksgiving break. But I should be able to have a few days next week to spend a couple of evenings just tearing through that list and getting back to people. So if you've sent me a PM, I got it, and I should be able to get back to you within a week here. All right, thanks everyone for being here today. I will not be here next Friday for Court of the Rings, although stay tuned. There is a chance I will be using that weekend for a Movember marathon stream, something like 3 to 4 hours of Lotro, 3 to 4 hours of the other game, and then a couple hours of just like personal goofiness, aka playing around with the TI-99 voice speech synthesizer, if that sounds like fun, that kind of thing. So that'll be over the holiday weekend here. I will not have a formal Court of the Rings next Friday at noon, but I'll be back in 2 with more. Have fun, everyone. See ya.